Hello, everybody! Welcome back to the Untitled Sickos Project. I am the Mastora, also known as Luke, and I'm joined by
Nickman. I am here along with Luke to predict the NHL playoffs.
this season's been quite the season, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Very fun season. Really good if you're in the Vancouver area for British Columbia. It has been one of the best years for hockey in general, just for this area, and it is a sight to behold as the return for playoff hockey. It's been 10 years since there's been playoff hockey in the city of Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
So it
yeah,
is,
and honestly, with NHL, like there's been a lot. It feels like there's been a lot more notable NHL like moments this year, and obviously, the fact that there was such a chaotic end to like the postseason wild card race. It was like, my God, it felt like the chaos just kept on coming with this season.
the fact that Washington gets to play for an extra week and a half.
They made it on the power of friendship.
Oh, they sold everything and still made the playoffs. I found it even funnier that even you had Pittsburgh, who I like the quote that Steve Dangle had when they traded Jake Gensel. That's the equivalent of Goku seeing Krillin die. So that's the funniest thing that I've enjoyed from the season. But 16 teams have moved on to claim the greatest trophy in most of all sports. The 2-month grind-ish begins on Saturday. I believe it is kicking off at 2 a.m. Sorry, 2 p.m. PST?
Yeah, around there.
Wait, are you guys doing a video right now?
Yes.
We are yes, we are predicting the NHL playoffs right now.
Gotcha. Do you want me to hop on out?
Yeah, probably.
What?
Probably.
If you don't have, yeah, I mean, if you don't, I know you're not exactly like a big like hockey fan, so if you just don't have anything like really noteworthy to say, like.
I mean, I could just give my predictions, my crazy batshit predictions.
Sure, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah,
I will have Taegan who joins randomly. Okay, so the first game, it's Canes Islanders? What is the first game? I think it's Canes and Islanders.
Yes.
I gotta say, this is, it feels like I have to sort of remind myself every year that there's just so much chaos and when it comes to the NHL playoffs, and as much as it's so easy to say, oh, they're the best team, easy win. Like we've seen in many years, especially when they went to the old format, where we saw 8 seed teams upset the number 1 seed. Like we saw the Kings do it. We saw the Oilers do it, and they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup. It is... There's so much chaos that could happen. It's why I love the Stanley Cup playoffs, because it truly is a clean slate when it comes to the playoffs. That's like what you did before, it doesn't really matter. It's what can you do in 5 to 7 games of the season that's going to set you apart from what you did in the regular season. And once the dust is settled, I really hope that I'm not having my therapist emergency dial their therapist. Because everybody knows what it is.
Yep.
It's okay,
I'm not
Vic,
looking
it's
forward
okay.
to
So yeah, first game is the Islanders versus the Hurricanes, and yeah, this is I'm also first game. We're also talking about it as a series now, and I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This is a very interesting one because the Hurricanes are no doubt the better team, but the Islanders are currently riding just a massive wave of momentum heading into the postseason. You know, they're on a winning streak. I think like 8-game winning streak, I believe, something along the lines of that. Like the Islanders have been playing their best hockey of the season to enter the postseason, and this is also a rematch. Actually, because the Islanders did face Carolina last postseason, I believe.
the Eastern semis.
Yeah, and Carolina won over the Islanders. So this is a really interesting series because Carolina, no question, has more pressure than the Islanders because the Islanders are, you know, you fired Lane Lambert, which, my God, that looks like a great decision. It looks like an even greater decision considering they were not playing anywhere close to what they're playing right now under him compared to Patrick Waugh. And I feel like the Islanders have, you know, like a lot less to lose right now than the Hurricanes, which the Hurricanes, looking at their free agents for 2020 or like for this offseason, yeah, this might be their best shot, and I'm not going to call it a last chance year for them, but if they don't, you know, capitalize this year, I'm going to start really wondering, when are they ever going to take advantage of, you know, the playoffs? When are they ever going to capitalize if they're not able to do it this year?
Yeah, it's the one thing that I really like about this series is do not underestimate the New York Islanders. By any shot. Don't forget how good of a goalie Ilya Sorokin is.
For sure.
He's somebody that can lead his team deep into the playoffs. The notable concernable thing, I mean, that should be fun. What's their cap? I'm looking at the cap friendly right now. They will have about $6.1 million for free agency for next year, with Cal Clutterbuck needing, well, no, not really, actually. They're gonna have to figure out how to look to extend some of the younger talent. There's not really much in terms of the really concerning about, but to get better, they're gonna have to do some stuff. But in terms of the Hurricanes, it seems like it's now or never with them. They're a team that's going to have not a whole lot of wiggle room in terms of cap space, even though they will have $27 million in free agency space opened up. I think it's not as end of the world. They're gonna have to say goodbye to, you know, depth pieces and whatnot, but they should be able to retain their guys. I think they'll get Taro Teravainen. I think you'll be able to, you know, retain some of your guys. I think you'll be fine. They have a lot of cap space going into free agency, but for a team that really feels like they really just need to get it all together, it is the Hurricanes. This is probably the one series where you look at and you really want to win, but don't be surprised if this goes to 7 games.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised. This is a series that's going to go to 7 games. Sorokin is that good.
I will say this, as someone that doesn't really watch a lot of hockey, I do know that the Hurricanes have been doing better recently since I've, been aware of their existence. Don't know too much about the Islanders, but I will say this: Carolina definitely seems like a team that, if they get pretty, if they can get past the first series, they'll make a big, deep boys run in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing with the Hurricanes is their issue hasn't been like the first round. It's more been the second and the Eastern Conference Finals that's been their big downfall. Like that's always been what ends up tripping up the Hurricanes. And in the case of the Eastern Conference Finals, whenever they've made it, they haven't won a game the last 3 times.
That is fair enough. Anyways, my pick for the series, I'm going to take the Carolina Hurricanes in 6 games.
Same. I think Hurricanes in 6. Both these teams are very familiar with one another, so I expect a very competitive series, but Carolina's talent, I just think it's going to be too much, so yeah, Hurricanes in 6.
I'll go with Hurricanes in 6 too, because even though I think there'll probably be a Game 7, I don't want to break the continuity streak that we have right now, so I'll go Hurricanes in 6.
Alright, next. Oh, God fucking damn it. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus Boston. I want this to be over with. I want to lose for all 4 games. I watched Tree's Haters Guide, and I'm like, he's speaking too positively about this team. He spoke way too positively about this team. It's because I'm broken, or Boston has utterly destroyed any hope or faith that I have left. But here we are, round 4. Boston has beaten the Maple Leafs the past 3 times. In Game 7, 2 of them in Boston. They've had opportunities to slay the demon. Will this be the year that they slay the demon, or will Mitch Marner play his last game in Toronto? This is it. Matthews has been able to perform in the playoffs. Nylander has been able to perform in the playoffs. Tavares has been able to play in the playoffs. And Morgan Riley has been able to play and perform well in the playoffs. The one player that hasn't been able to play or perform to any sort of ability is Mitchell Marner. It is time to put up or shut up, Mr. Mitch Marner. I am sick and tired of you being a virtual ghost in the playoffs. You want the big money extension, this is it. If everybody else shows up and you don't, I want him off my hockey team, and I want to never see this man again. You are breaking up the Big Four if they don't get it done this year. And as for everybody else, I mean, there's a lot of depth. I think there's a lot of strong middle 6 presence. It's just the thing that they don't have is realistically outside of heroes. Because if Marner, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares aren't performing, this is going to be over very fast. Yes, Austin Matthews has scored 69 goals. I don't care. Great. I want to see a deep playoff run. It's time. Leafs fans have waited since 2016 for a deep playoff run. The fun phase is over. You've beaten the Lightning. Great. Now go do it again. It's time. It's time to win, to beat Boston, and if you don't, well, goodbye Marner. Goodbye. He's up for grabs. And I'll go more into what a trade will look like that in the Puget County sound off, but hint, it's the Kraken. that take on Mitch Marner. And as for Boston, I mean, they have 2 starting elite goaltenders on that team. If one doesn't work, they'll go to the other one. And it's a team that's been able to run all 4 lines. They have dominated. They've outmatched Toronto all season long. But if Boston goes into this thinking, oh yeah, I can underestimate Toronto could pull the upset off, and the series could be over in 5 or 4 games. I don't think this is good. That's kind of how I see it. Boston's a good team. I am annoyed that we have to play against them. If you want to see, watch LFR 81, where Steve Dangle just has a mental breakdown, and he's just laughing in pain for 2 minutes. And those Leafs, I don't have any faith with this Leafs team. I'm just going to jump to my prediction. Boston in 4.
I mean, from the scoreboard watching on my end, it seems like Boston really underperforms when they're playing bad teams, but can play up to competition when they're playing actually good teams. So, I personally think, if you think that it's going to be Boston in 4, I think it'll be Leafs in 5.
Don't give me hope.
All right. Okay, so honestly, I really want to go in depth with both these teams because honestly, there's a lot on the line for both Toronto and Boston here. Because I'll get to Toronto first because obviously, I think if anyone has the most pressure here, it's Mitch Marner. Like, he does have the most pressure to show up when it counts. Because I mean, Austin Matthews, you're not moving on from 107 points, 69 goals. He does his job. He's done his job in the playoffs before. He's proven that. And so is Nylander. And Tavares, he scored big goals before. He's done that as well. I'm just kind of quoting what Luke's saying, but you get the point. Like, there's a lot of pressure on Mitch Marner because also if the Leafs they don't get past or they get embarrassed again, I feel like the Leafs are going to have a very interesting, they're going to have an interesting decision regardless of what happens in this series, but do you value the high-end talent, or do you move off of one of them and you try and get more guys like for, the more, just more depth, all that stuff. Like, do you try and value that? Because if things go wrong, I could see that being a very real possibility here. And the thing with the Leafs is honestly, I don't have any issue with some of the guys they got. Like, I know, because I have listened to a good amount of, I have watched, enough Steve Dangle to know, like, what's going on with this team and all that. I mean, I know that, like, Bobby McMahon, I've already seen the Bobby McMahon stuff, like all that stuff. Like, he's shown promise, shown good stuff. He has the exact type of name that's like, that guy is gonna score a big time playoff goal one day. I don't know when, but he's gonna score one day. And perhaps it could be this series, who knows? Like, I know they do have, they have a lot of guys on this team that can perform. I know that, guys like, I know they have Nyes, like Robertson, McCabe, like, guys like that. I know, like, it's not, like, honestly, roster-wise, I feel like it has gotten better in some areas compared to how bad it looked to start the season, but obviously, playing Boston, which has a very interesting history with the Leafs, yeah, I mean, I know guys like Domi and Bertuzzi, which I vividly remember Luke fucking hating them at the start of the season. I know they have gotten better, but at the same time, it's like, listen, you're gonna need these guys to show up, especially if guys like Marner don't show up. You're gonna need these bottom, these more lower line guys to show up. You're gonna need them to show up because, listen, nothing's guaranteed with the Leafs. You're gonna have to really Yeah, it's going to be all hands on deck with this team. Now, I'm going to say it right now. The interesting thing for me that honestly Luke didn't bring up is if the Leafs go out, this is my prediction. If the Leafs go out, and considering the front office is going to, well, the current front office is going to want to make themselves look like, hey, listen, we're going to bring something new in here. If they lose in the first round, I think they fire Keefe. Like, I'm just saying, I think they move on from him.
Lord, I forgot that. Yeah, Sheldon Keefe's gone. I like Sheldon Keefe. I really do. I think he's gonna, if he gets fired from Toronto, he's going to win the Stanley Cup somewhere else.
Yeah, I can see that. Keefe's a good coach, but I feel like considering the front office would want to save face, and also the fact that this is a very loaded coaching market. Like, this is going to be one of the most loaded coaching off seasons for the NHL and arguably NHL history. Like, there's a lot of names available, and obviously Keefe would just, make would make that just even more interesting. So, yeah, there's pressure everywhere for this Leafs team. And I want to say this regarding the coaching pool, because this is an off season where it's like, listen, you can be a good coach and you're not safe considering how many names are available this off season. So that's just something worth considering for that conversation. Now, I want to get to Boston, because the Boston Bruins, I mean, their best player is no question David Pastrnak. Like, Pasta has been elite for Boston. He's been amazing. He's, 47 goals, 63 assists, 110 points. Excellent all across the board. Brad Marchand, I feel like Marchand's kind of, he's slowed down a little bit this season, but he's so great. He's still annoying Brad Marchand. He'll do his job. Coyle, Zaka, McAvoy, I mean, even DeBrusque at times. Honestly, Boston is a loaded team. And obviously, the goaltending, which, Boston has arguably the, best goaltending duo in hockey with Swayman and Ullmark. So, Boston, this is a team where it's like, Boston has all the tools necessary to make a deep run. Obviously, question is, will they make a deep run? Because we all know how last season ended. You have best regular season in NHL history. You set records all across the board, and you lose to the Florida Panthers in the first round. You blew a 3-1 series lead, and you lost in overtime, which was, just absolute embarrassment for Boston. It was a truly hilarious moment. I loved every second of it, but it was a, awful moment for the Bruins, and Boston needs to really, they need to bounce back from that, because if they somehow lose in the first round again, if this team loses in first round again, there's gonna be nukes flying. Because that's just, yikes. But I will get to that prediction in a bit. Boston versus Toronto, this matchup, this is the first time in the last couple of meetings that Toronto will be facing Boston head coach Jim Montgomery. They will be facing Jim Montgomery, because I know 2013 they faced Claude Julien, and of course the 2018 and 2019 series they faced Bruce Cassidy. So this obviously is the Jim Montgomery Bruins, and that will be very interesting to see how he fares out against a storied history of the Bruins owning the Leafs. Now, what's my prediction? Because honestly, I have trust issues with both teams, but I also understand that history usually favors those that own their peasants, and simply put, the Bruins own the Leafs. However, I do not have enough trust in them to say they will sweep them, but I do have enough trust in them to say the Bruins will beat the Leafs in a gentleman's sweep. 5 games.
Bruins over Leafs in 5? I know that dark feeling all too well. All right, Taegan already gave us his pick. Yeah, I think it's a bad matchup for Toronto, and I say it for. I just want to get this over with so we can move on and trade Mitch Marner and bring some people who actually really give a damn when it comes to playoff time. And Marner's had 7 chances, and he's 0-for-7 every time, which is just remarkable. All right, next we got the power of friendship and the Ranger versus the Rangers.
I'm just look.
This sounds
saying,
like this should be 4 games, and it should be, right? This should be 4 games. This is probably gonna be. There's no way this is gonna be going past 4 games. And yet, this could go to 7 games. But like, I don't think so.
Rangers in 7.
And yet, but like, what if? I really, this should be obvious. I mean, the Rangers are great in every single way. They got their youth that's performing. Artemi Panarin's great. They have easily the best goalie in Igor Shesterkin. That should be the end of this. That should be it, right? That should be it. But what if?
I mean, it always seems to happen in the NHL playoffs where a team without no expectations at all comes in and just starts wrecking shit out of nowhere.
This is a tough one. I'm gonna go upset Capitals in 7. This is all the potentials to be an upset. This is all the potentials to be the funny to happen. I mean, I see
the President's Trophy curse.
President's Trophy curse. I think it's a lot of hope. You know, hey, it's the Capitals, where the Capitals have been fighting for their. I think any team that getting this wild card spot was fighting for their absolute lives. And I think they go to that where, you know, we've got nothing left to lose, and we'll know by game 3. By like game 3 with 10 minutes left to play. If it's the Rangers that lead 2-0 and you're leading like say 2-1 with 10 minutes left to play in the third quarter, it's the sweep that happened. It's what we expected to happen actually did happen. I like the Rangers. I think the Rangers are great top through bottom, but something about what they did with how they played the Islanders last year really leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I think you got a team that I think has really got nothing left to lose, and because you got a team that's got really nothing to lose and all to gain from this playoff series, I think you're going to see, and we're all going to be dumbfounded. I think this is going to be one of the upsets. I think it's the Capitals in 7.
Capitals in 5.
Okay, you know what? I am not gonna curse the Capitals here. I'm not gonna pick them, but I'll go Rangers in 5. I think that's the most realistic option, because I have never wanted to really go for a sweep when it comes to the NHL playoffs, because the NHL playoffs is as chaotic as chaos can get. However, I do expect the Capitals will give the Rangers a great fight. There is one thing, I'm going to say this, and this will be going forward for the Rangers, because, you know, Rangers are having a great year. I mean, obviously, Panarin's great. You know, Igor has gotten back to being Igor. There is one thing, though, I feel like with the Rangers, I do want to point out this postseason compared to last year, because last season, that series against, that was really ugly. That was a really ugly way to lose that series. Just, yeah, not great. There is one thing I am interested in, because there is a news that's been most quiet, but over the years, and last season has grown a bit more. is about Artemi Panarin in the playoffs, because Artemi Panarin had his best season this year. He went bald too. He went bald. Going bald only helped them get even stronger. I mean, 120 points, 49 goals, 71 assists. Excellent season for Panarin. I know damn well it's in his head. I need to play well this postseason, because last year there is not a hockey superstar that had a worse postseason last year than Artemi Panarin, and by that I'm saying in the 7-game series against the Devils last year, he only had 2 points, which is yikes. That's gonna be in the back of his head for this. I expect them to have a great series. I know he can perform in the playoffs. Just don't play like he did last postseason, Artemi. Okay, but yeah, I got Rangers in 5.
That's fair enough. This should be one of the easiest games to predict, but oh my god, it's gonna be moments like this is why we love the NHL playoffs. It's high chaos factor with just a lot of people you know with the underdogs are known. You want to cheer for the underdogs, and we'll see what happens. All right, our next series, the last one, it is the Battle of Florida, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, the team that made it all the way to the end last season versus the end of a dynasty. And I'm going to be honest, I'm surprised that there wasn't another team in the Atlantic that took the extra step when there's signs of, one of these teams like Detroit, Buffalo. It felt like one of them was going to really topple the dynamic of the Atlantic, but no, it just didn't happen. Like the Red Wings, I thought they were going to do it, but they were, way too up and down the entire season. They're inconsistently consistent. You had the Sabres, which just, I don't think they ever rounded into form like we all wanted them to. And it really feels weird to see the Lightning after they were beaten and beaten and bruised, lots of injuries. I think they've been broken down already, and the Panthers do like to play a rather physical style of hockey that especially is really tough just to match up against versus the Florida Panthers. They play a very suffocating way of hockey. They know how to outmuscle a lot of people. They don't need to score a lot of goals to beat you. They have easily just a strong core of players that can just outmuscle you, and I think the Lightning just get outmuscled in 6 games.
Yeah, I can see that. Like 6 games as well on Florida's advantage. Honestly, the thing with Tampa Bay is, there's gonna be a lot of questions brewing, regardless of what happens here. Because, Stamkos is a free agent. What's gonna happen with him? The Lightning are clearly not at their strongest. It's very clear. This team, while they're not close. They're definitely not washed. But it's very clear this team is a lot weaker than they were even 2 years ago. And I think a big reason for that is the fact that Vasilevsky's had a rough season. He's not looked like Vasilevsky that we've all known him to be. Because this was the first season where he had a save percentage on the year below .910.
Yeah, and also he did have surgery and he did have recovery time, and I think it's just with a healthy offseason we're gonna see Vasilevsky be back to Vasilevsky.
Oh yeah. I agree with you on that.
He's gonna need a healthy offseason. I don't think they have the deep run just in them, just not this year. It is
Yeah.
more of, try to go as unscathed as possible, gear up for the next season, where you're going to be looking to, get back into form and regroup, whereas I see the Panthers getting ready for another potential cup run. I mean, they got the taste of it, but it really felt like they got really dominated by the Golden Knights when it came to the finals last year. Whereas I see how they're not as beaten as bruised as maybe some of the other teams, but like the Panthers can do it. I feel they play the kind of hockey that if they can goalie a team, if a team gets goalied versus the Florida Panthers, I see the Panthers going easily a deep run and potentially winning the Stanley Cup based on their suffocating defensive style of hockey.
Yeah, it's a style of hockey that just annoys everyone. Like, it doesn't matter what style of hockey you play against them, you're gonna be annoyed facing the Florida Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I as well am going to Florida Panthers in 6 games.
Taegan, whomstith shall you take?
Well, I will say this. I am a little biased towards the Tampa Bay Lightning because I have family who live down in Tampa Bay who really support them because, they're a big impact to the community. However, I have known that the Florida Panthers, especially last year, have been really good as of recently. So, you know what? I'll give the Lightning a benefit of the doubt. They'll Florida in 6. Lightning will probably get up to a 2-1 lead, and then Florida will take it over from there.
That's interesting. That will be interesting for sure if Tampa Bay gets up 2-1. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. That'd be interesting because I think if Tampa Bay falls behind, maybe we'll see. But that's interesting. So that's the Eastern for round 1. Now let's go west to the best time zone, Pacific. Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl versus the world. I gotta say this. Regardless of outcome, I do not see Evander Kane or Jack Campbell on this team next year.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Evander Kane's being a head cancer, a total head case, and I think that there's just better. I think there's just better outlooks for. I've been mulling over what trades would look like, especially when it comes to what the Oilers could do. I have tossed out the idea of Jack Campbell being sent to the Sharks for a guy named Future Considerations. They would get picks for it. But the one thing that I thought they would send Evander Kane to the Sharks to alleviate cap space, and the Sharks would get like a second or like a third or something. But then I thought, what if Chicago offered them a 5th round pick for Evander Kane? Who says no?
Yeah.
I see that as a win-win. That's just future thought. That's just future me thought time when it comes to I think when we do the debriefing for the NHL. But Oilers should. It feels like it's time for a Canadian team to make it to the Stanley Cup. It's got to be the Oilers. It just has to be. The thing is, like, the Oilers have won games in the playoffs. Have they made it to a Western Conference final yet?
Yes, they made in 2022 where they got swept by the Avs.
So, like, they've been there. They've made it past 2 rounds. It's more of just taking that last step. I don't think the Oilers are the Maple Leafs. Not even by a long shot. They're not the Maple Leafs. And it's not even close. What I do think the Oilers is a team that's super talented, that went through the worst stretch I have ever seen a hockey team ever go through, and rebound with a fury like no other. And I think it's because of that fury that we're gonna see the Oilers. I think Oilers dominate in 5 games. The Kings, they have stuff, but I don't think they have the stuff, you know? They don't got the stuff.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the Canes will be annoying to the Oilers. I do think the Canes will win a game or two, but that's all they're going to win in this series. I got Oilers in 6, and it's going to feel like very familiar territory for an LA Canes team that I just feel like the Canes just feel like a team that's like, yeah, they're fine, but they're not going to get past the first round.
The LA Kings to me have always just felt like a... Sorry, you can go ahead, dude.
The one thing I will say about the Kings, though, is I saw how the Kings play against the Canucks. I really think high-end talent just wins the day. But if you see this go to, like, Game 7, don't be surprised if the Kings pull off the upset. They have there's a certain style of hockey that the Kings play. I saw it a lot when they played the Canucks, and it is really suffocating. The way that they play
it can be. Like, they can be a very suffocating team, which is why I do see them stealing 2 from Edmonton. It's just, the Canes, like, well, they're definitely better than they were under, they are better right now than they were, you know, earlier in the season and around the All-Star break. I feel like the Canes are just, like, they will give Edmonton a tough time, but they're not going to be able to beat them in a 7-game series. And, yeah, it's just, the Canes, I think what also concerns me is, like, the Canes will have great games, like, against Vancouver, Vegas, but then they will also have games like the one against the Blackhawks, which, granted, they still won, but, man, giving up 3 consecutive goals on 3 shots is, like, yeah, that does make me question their goaltending, which might make or break this run for the Canes.
And more importantly, I think the Kings, like, imagine if they had prime Jonathan Quick on this team. I think the Kings win, hands down.
Honestly, if the Canes had prime Jonathan Quick, I would realistically see this team possibly make a cup run.
It is. They are a great goaltender away, just with their current team makeup right now. Which it's a shame that that's where it is right now. But just with the current team makeup it is right now, I see they are... Imagine if they were the team that got Connor Hellebuck instead of Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah.
Just imagine that kind of trade that they got. And I imagine that in the offseason, they're going to try again to get one of Boston's goaltenders. And sure, one of them will have to waive their no movement clause, but I think for either goalie, if you want to get what's yours at the end, and especially if I'm their agent, you have to break away from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just, again, at the end of the day, I think that's how I see the Kings. But I do think Edmonton wins this in 5. Taegan, who do you think wins?
I think the Oilers win in 4, and I just wanted to say, the LA Kings have always been a really funny just sports team for me in general, because they're like, in my opinion, the most like cookie cutter like teams, like from a standpoint sound. Like, whenever I hear the LA Kings, I hear that they're just incredibly mediocre. They often split most seasons, and it's just, I don't know, I felt like I needed to say that because the LA Kings are truly just, like, in my opinion, a cookie cutter team.
That's fair. But yeah, this one should be interesting. Now, we're gonna go Vegas and Dallas. Circumvents the cap versus The Dallas Stars, and I'm really happy I am so happy the Vancouver
Can I say something real quick?
What?
I want to say this. Every time that the Dallas Stars have been brought to my attention around this time, they have lost in the playoffs. Like, they've gotten eliminated. So, we'll have to see if this stands up.
Yeah, what I will say about the Stars is this is such a good team. This is such a good team, but keep in mind this is a team also the Carolina Hurricanes. Tree has picked them, which means they are cursed.
Oh no.
Tree cursed the Stars and the Canes. So, if they're out in the first round, we only have one man to thank, and that's urinating Tree.
Yep.
This sounds like a Western Conference final match. Just the talent on the teams at display. This is gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a good series. This is gonna go to 7 games. This will go to 7 games. Now who wins this game is it's a great question. Yes. I'll let Nick take care of the rest.
Yes, this is gonna be a very entertaining fight indeed, especially considering it is time to mention the fact that yet for another season, the Vegas Golden Knights are crossing paths with Peter DeBoer. Every season of the Golden Knights history has featured Peter DeBoer in some way. The inaugural season, we faced him in the second round. The second season, we faced him in the first round. And of course, for 3 years, he was our head coach. And then last year, we faced them in the Western Conference Finals, and now we're facing them again. And it feels fitting. It feels fitting that this is the first round series. It feels so fitting to have the Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars just face one another. Now, I'll go over the Stars because this is a great Stars team. This is a very talented Stars team. Now, I did notice... Now, I will notice this with Dallas, that like they are similar to most Peter DeBoer teams. They are great at taking care of the trash teams or even the mediocre teams, but they will have some trouble with the great teams. Which, granted, from what I saw, because I was listening to one of the Golden Knights journalists that I always listen to, Dallas is like 19-21 against playoff teams, but most of those losses were against like Eastern Conference teams. So I still think Dallas overall, they are well equipped to face the best of the West. Now, looking at the roster, Jason Robertson, obviously it's Robertson, he's great. Joe Pavelski's still Joe Pavelski. They have a lot of talent. I just want to say the fact that signing Matt Duchene for what I think was only $3 million has been the steal of the offseason by Dallas, because they did not get him for much. They barely had to pay anything to get Matt Duchene, and he has been excellent for the Stars. So that's definitely a difference maker compared to last season. Now for Dallas, I definitely think the big question for Dallas is going to be Jake Ottinger. How does Ottinger do? Now, Ottinger has had a mixed bag of a season. He hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't been as great as we've seen Otter be. But there is a good thing for Dallas. It's that Jake Ottinger has been playing some great hockey as of late. And all anyone has to do is see that no-look save he had against the St. Louis Blues to know that's the case. He's gotten hot at the right time, similar to Igor. And Dallas is going to need him to show up. They're going to need him, to show up if they want to make a run in the Western Conference. Now, time to talk about the Golden Knights, because defending Stanley Cup champions, they're my team. And I have watched this team all season to see the highs and lows, go through what's been going on, and see the Golden Knights are back in the playoffs, and they will be getting guys back to start the postseason. Now, I will say some of our guys, in terms of the injury report, Stevenson and Mantha have been day to day. I am sure they'll play in game 1. Noah Hannafin had an off day for some rest. He will definitely be in game 1. Petrangelo should play in game 1. The two mystery questions are obviously William Carrier, who we'll see how he feels, and obviously Mark Stone, because I already know damn well what is going to happen, what the response is going to be if it turns out he's going to be playing in game 1. And personally, I'm all for it. I want to see people salty. It would be fun. It will be fun seeing hockey fans everywhere get salty about it. But yeah, Vegas is a very loaded team. Obviously, you have the first line of Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Jonathan Marchessault. Marchessault having a career high 42 goals this season, 69 points. Nice. Jack Eichel just fell 1 point short of hitting the nice mark, but he did have 68 points in 63 games played this season, 31 goals. So great production from Jack. William Karlsson had a great season with 30 goals, 30 assists. And, it's a really loaded team, because you got guys like, obviously, Thomas Hertl, who's been great ever since he's moved to center, because of Stevenson having some injuries. He's been excellent, and I'm sure you will definitely keep Thomas Hertl at center for the series, because, Thomas Hertl's been great, and unlike a lot of Golden Knights players, he likes to shoot close to the net. Like, he will always attack close to the net, which is very refreshing to see for this Golden Knights team. And even deeper than that, you got guys like Michael Amadio, Pavel Dorofeev, Brett Howden, let's see who else. Paul Cotter can be, productive on the fourth line, and obviously can't forget Nick Waugh, who is, I would argue, the best fourth line center in hockey right now. I mean, this is a fourth line center who has 41 points in 70 games. Like, on a lot of other teams, he'd be a second line center, but with how loaded Vegas is at center, he's fourth line, man, and I love it. And you also have Keegan Colasar, which also helps, fourth line. Now, Vegas defensively, because there was definitely a stretch in February and early March where the defense was not doing too well, which is why we made the move to get Noah Hannafin, and I'm sure we'll have Hannafin and Haig playing together. We'll have Petrangelo back on. I could see Whitecloud and Martinez possibly switching times at some point, because I think Whitecloud will start the series, but Martinez will, if Whitecloud doesn't do exactly great, or, Vegas needs a little momentum boost. Martinez has shown that even if he's had a bit of an off season, he can still provide great things in short bunches, so I can see that. And obviously you'll have McNabb and Theodore together. Now, I think the big question regarding the Golden Knights, and this, may determine how far is this team going to go, is goaltending, because goaltending has been a mixed bag. Now, obviously, the top two goalies are Logan Thompson, Adain Hill. Adain Hill had the excellent postseason run last year, and that's why he was given that extension. And Logan Thompson has shown to be a promising young goalie. Now, for the longest time, it felt like Adain Hill would be the starting goalie for the playoffs. However, for the past month or so, really since the All-Star break, Adain Hill has been playing pretty bad. He's not been doing well. And on the other hand, Logan Thompson has been playing great. Outside of the Coyotes game, which was yikes, and a bad game against Vancouver, Logan Thompson has been excellent since the trade deadline. He's been excellent since then, and honestly, I'm in favor of giving Thompson the start, just because he has the momentum right now. He has the momentum right now, and I mean, their save percentages, which look very different around the All-Star break. They're basically dead even now. So and I've already heard what, Cassidy said about, who's going to be starting. It's just it's whoever's got the hot hand right now, whoever's, got more momentum and all of that. And I feel like right now Thompson has the more momentum, so I expect him to be the game one starter. But the big thing with Thompson is he has struggled on the road this season, but he has been phenomenal at home. So that will be a big storyline to watch, given we will be playing our first 2 games in Dallas, and I expect it to be a very raucous Dallas crowd, considering they will know what's at stake here by playing the Golden Knights, who knocked them out last season. Now, for Vegas and Dallas, it's really gonna come down to, matchups and all that, who outfavors who, because the Western Conference Finals last year, I felt like Vegas didn't play a bad game against Dallas. Like, yes, they lost those 2 games, to make it a 3-0 series to 3-2, but they weren't playing bad, they just played a bit off. Meanwhile, Dallas had they had 2 really bad stinkers in that series, which were Game 3 and Game 6. And I think it's really going to come down with Vegas. Can they beat the zone, and can they expose Adain as much as they did in that series last year? Can they do it? And I think it's very possible with this Vegas team, especially if we are fully loaded and fully healthy. It is very possible that I think Vegas can definitely expose Dallas again. And the coaching matchup will be very interesting because obviously you have Bruce Cassidy versus Peter DeBoer. And the thing with Cassidy is he's very likely, when things don't go well, he will blend the lines. He will shake things up, and a lot of times it works very well. Meanwhile, Peter DeBoer is more of a stubborn guy, which by that I mean DeBoer, he has a philosophy, he has a plan that he follows, and he will slowly follow that plan. And I'm not trying to bash DeBoer here, because the thing with Peter DeBoer is I've always viewed him, like, for as much as I bashed him in Vegas because it just never felt like a good fit, DeBoer is a good coach, but he's never been able to be a great coach. And this series, I think, is a great test for him to show, can he be a great coach? Because we know Dallas and Peter DeBoer coach teams, they win in the first round. They know how to win in the first round. Like, honestly, Peter DeBoer teams never lose in the first round. It's more the second, and especially the conference finals teams that they usually have trouble in. But this coaching matchup gonna be a very interesting battle for sure. And for me, it's just gonna come down, can Vegas just outmaneuver Dallas like they did last season? Which my thoughts is, yeah, I definitely think they can do it again. I think Vegas can really outmaneuver Dallas. I definitely think we can outplay them. We can be more physical than them, and we will forecheck better than Stars. So I think there's a lot of advantages here for Vegas, but I also keep in mind this is a very talented Dallas team, and they know how to play well. They are the top seed in the West for a reason. So I'm not here to underestimate Dallas, but I also, having watched all 82 games for the Golden Knights this year, I know what this Golden Knights team is capable of. And with that, I will give my personal prediction. Because I agree, this series feels like it's going to go 7 games, but something just tells me the Golden Knights are going to win in 6. Something just tells me the Stars are going to screw up at some point, and it's going to end up costing them a chance at going to a Game 7. Because honestly, if this goes to Game 7, I can see Dallas winning. Like, I honestly think the Stars, if this goes 7 games, the Stars are winning this series. And also, Peter DeBoer's done very well in Game 7s. For as much criticism as he gets for his stubbornness, he does very well in Game 7s. And yes, I am very well aware of a certain game he had against the Golden Knights in Game 7, which I will not directly mention. But I got the Golden Knights in 6.
I got Stars in 7.
Fair. I think it's fair. This is going to be a great series.
Oh, like, get your popcorn buckets up for this one. This is like, every game is gold. Like, this game is going to be the reason why, I love the playoffs, especially in the NHL, because we get games like, we get series like this, and it's such a treat to watch. Taegan, who are you taking?
Knights in 7.
Knights in 7, all right. On to, I'm saving the Canucks for last. On to, I think the, another great series, Jets and Avalanche. How many goals will be scored in this entire series? Yes.
Yes.
This will be the high scoring series. I think we will see. We'll see goals. We'll see feats of athleticism. Because, I mean, as good as Hellebuck is, I mean, the Avalanche have won a cup already. They have talent throughout the entire roster. They've added quality forward depth. If Casey Middlestat, the trade deadline, it's a shame that one of these teams is not going to make it to the second round, because whoever wins between Vegas and the Stars, Winnipeg and Colorado, we're getting peak cinema in the second round. Peak cinema. It is, like, the West is going to be so good. Like, even if, like, say we get Vancouver and Edmonton, if they win, Vancouver and Edmonton, and then whoever wins between Vegas and Dallas and Colorado and Winnipeg, it's going to be so good, and it's going to set up, the West is so watchable this year. And it's just so awesome to see. Now, at the end of the day, I think this is going to be I think this is going to be quite the fun series to watch. I think Nathan MacKinnon is just really good. I think Nathan MacKinnon is just so good when it comes to just a player. They've got really great pieces all around. I think, but even though Winnipeg's got like 6 excellent lines that they can run through, I think we are going to go 7 games. I think it's going to be Jets in 7.
It is a valid take, because I also have this series going 7 games. Like, I look at the matchups between the Jets and the Avalanche, and it's like, yeah, this series is going 7 games. This is going to be an excellent series. And Colorado, no question, has the more firepower on offense. I mean, they got Nathan freaking MacKinnon. They are the best offense in hockey for a reason, and they're so fun to watch, unless they're playing your favorite team, which pray for your favorite team then. However, Colorado's offense, just excellent. There's endless amounts of chances for this Avalanche team to score, and yeah, Colorado's just, they are so great offensively. And Winnipeg, that's not even to, hate on Winnipeg, because Winnipeg has a talented offense as well, and not to mention they have very strong goaltending. I mean, Connor Hellebuyck is Connor Hellebuyck, and even if Hellebuyck has some issues or, he goes down, I gotta say, Laurent Brossoit has been one of the best backup goalies in hockey this season. He's been excellent in his backup role, and he does have postseason experience, considering he played for the Golden Knights last year, so he knows what this atmosphere is like. He knows what's capable of. But Connor Hellebuyck is excellent. It's going to be just a real great matchup watching the Avalanche offense versus, the Jets, Jets goaltending, and, guys like, Jets still have guys like Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Josh Morrissey. For me, the thing that's going to make or break the Colorado Avalanche, that's really become a hot topic as of late regarding this team, is how's Georgiev going to do? Because if the Colorado Avalanche had decent goaltending, if they had a decent, starter, if their number 1 goalie was decent, I would be picking this team to win the Stanley Cup hands down. Their offense is that damn good, and if you give them good goaltending, they're unstoppable. But Georgiev not been good, and it's been, especially recently, the games against Winnipeg and Vegas, where they lost 7-0 at home to Winnipeg, and then the Vegas game where they blew a 3-0 lead in one period. Those are some big question marks for Georgia, because I feel like the Avalanche, as great as their offense is, how far they go is going to depend on how Georgiev performs. If he performs decently, if he even does the bare minimum, the Avalanche are going to make a deep run. But if he struggles, which I have a bad feeling he's going to struggle, the Abs are going to have trouble getting out of the first round. And for that reason, I think the Winnipeg Jets will win in 7 games in an overtime game winner.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. Jets in 4.
Ooh.
I'm just saying this now. As someone that has actually watched a grand total of 2 Colorado Rockies games, which is a grand total of 2 more games than I've watched for 99% of the other teams in this playoff. I ain't sold on them. If you had to ask me what I compare the Colorado Avalanche to right now, I would compare them to NFTs.
Damn.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All
Could
right.
I start off the last one?
The last one. All
the
right.
Nashville Predators.
The Preds and the Canucks. Oh boy, am I happy that playoff hockey is back in Vancouver. Genuinely am excited that playoff hockey is back in Vancouver.
Vancouver's got a good team this year.
I'm ecstatic with everything from the nonsense with Bruce Boudreau, the nonsense with the front office, you know, the questions of what happens when Thatcher Demko doesn't go burnt, having career years from Brock Besser, having JT Miller resurge, having Elias Pettersson resign for a massive contract, having just seemingly everything come up Toronto, coming up Vancouver is so good to see. It has felt rewarding, to say the least, and I mean, what else can I say? This Canucks team has played terrific hockey all year long. They figured out, you know, what happens when you score. They figured out what happens. This team has figured out what happens when things go together. I mean, this head coach has brought this team together. The city is behind him. And to quote Roberto Luongo, hockey is fun in Vancouver again. And to hear that say from the greatest goalie to ever dress for the Vancouver Canucks, it is truly heartwarming to see. The Canucks are back. The Canucks are so back. We are so back. It's exciting to see it. This team, even with, you know, Hoglander and Paul Colson, I'll look for them. They'll have big roles. I mean, they got great bottom six depth and Lafferty, Dakota Joshua. Like, Garland has had a great season. Tyler Myers might look like overcooked bacon, but it's just only slightly overcooked bacon. He has been what is needed to be. The aggressive trade for players at the deadline has worked. It is looked beautifully, and the turnaround has been incredible. But they're playing probably one of the most white-hot teams to finish the end of the year in the Nashville Predators. 16-game getting point streaks. It's everything seemingly to work against the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, I think this is going to be another potential upset in the making. I think the Predators are much better than they advertise themselves to be. They have a phenomenal goaltender. Don't be surprised if Nashville pulls off this upset. They've been playing great hockey as of late. You can run all 4 lines. But also Vancouver, remember, they did make it to the second round of the COVID Cup. They did. They gave the Golden Knights the biggest fit of all hell on earth. Don't forget that. They gave the Golden Knights all the hell in the world. They have won games in overtime. They beat the Blues in 5 games. They know what's needed to be done. It's tough. It is really tough. I mean, Ferb, we're not going to burn the city down over a first round exit, but I'm going to go Nashville in 6.
This is gonna be a very entertaining series, regardless of the point differential. This is gonna be like some great hockey because, I mean, Canucks are loaded. The Predators have done better than people were expecting. Like, Forsberg's had a great season, so has Josie. Nyquist has been great. Ryan O'Reilly being as productive as usual for wherever he goes. And I feel like the coaching matchup, it's going to be very interesting because, I mean, Rick Tocchet's done an excellent job. He is guaranteed he's going to win the Jack Adams Award. He's no doubt he's a lock to win that award. But I will also give credit to Andrew Brunette, who, really got written off after, having that, Panthers get swept by Tampa Bay in that 2022 playoff series. Really got written off, but he's reinvented himself, and I think he's done a strong job in Nashville, and he's done taking a Predators team that was, even though they did add guys like O'Reilly, they were still definitely didn't look as strong as they did last season. But on paper, it only means on paper for a reason, because the Predators are in the playoffs now, and I feel like the thing with Nashville and Vancouver, what's going to decide this series for me with Nashville is can Saros have a great series? Because if Saros goes like full 2017 Pecorine, oh yeah, Nashville has a very, very real shot of winning this series. Like, that's going to be something to watch, because Nashville, they thrive on great goaltending play, and that will be, I think, really the difference maker for this series. But overall, I expect this to be a great series. I cannot wait to hear the crowd for Game 1. Like, that crowd in Vancouver for Game 1 is going to be incredible. But as for who I think wins, I'll go Canucks in 6.
Very nice. Taegan, who are you going to go for?
Give me Chris Hansen in 7.
What? So Vancouver in
not
7.
Yeah.
Chris Hansen used to play for the Canucks, I know. Come on.
No. Other Chris Hansen.
Oh, stop. Canucks in 7, got it. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for us for round 1 for today. We'll do round 2 100% once the first round of the playoffs is over, because we are over an hour.
Yeah,
we'll do round 2 when it comes to round 2, but we are excited for playoff hockey again. We're going to be treated to a good playoffs this year. For once, the West is actually loaded. That's something I've never been able to say in all honest fashions. But yeah, here we are. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you come across this channel, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, follow everybody on their socials. Huge sound off on Monday, and draft reaction on Thursday as well. So yeah, anyways, it's gonna do it for us today, and we'll see you guys next time. And I hope that this doesn't be more than 100 gigabytes on my computer. Bye bye.